Hello, viewers. Welcome to BharatShakti.in. I'm Vigde S.K. Charity. Today, we're going to continue with our series of interviews of business leaders. Coronavirus has affected our lives, has affected our business activities. To what extent is this really true? You will get it from the business leaders who are going to be fighting, who are fighting, in fact, this battle. I have with me today Mr. Ashok Atluri, the Chairman and Managing Director of Zen Technologies. Uh, Zen Technologies, to give you an idea about the company, are primarily into simulators. They are, in fact, the biggest simulator manufacturers in our country. And most of their products, one of the biggest clients, are the Indian Armed Forces. Welcome, Mr. Ashok Atluri. Welcome to Bharat Shakti. Nice of you to have found time for us.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Okay, to start with the very first issue, what kind of a disruption has the industry really faced in overall terms? How has it really affected your production, functioning, every department, I would say?
Yeah, because of the consequential lockdown after the Chinese virus came into being, we see that the industry has completely stopped production. We don't have any production. In fact, even the after-sale service that we render to our customers, we've not been doing that because there is no transport available. So whatever help which we are doing our customers from home. But the production activity has completely ceased, and especially in the defense industry, we are not allowed to connect our intranet, the company's intranet, to the internet. So even software work is not going on at this point of time. So there is complete stoppage, absolutely.
So, what about your delivery commitments in that case? You're not able to meet your delivery commitments. How is that affecting your business?
So, so there were some year-end deliveries that got impacted, even though I think it's not much. But yes, the year-end deliveries got impacted and some payments got stuck. But fortunately, it isn't really impacting us that badly that it presents any danger to the company on a sustainable basis.
Okay, the government has taken a lot of measures. One of them is 1.7 lakh crores worth of measures. That's of course mostly, for the poor people, etc. Not that much, maybe in terms of the industry. But the Reserve Bank of India has also stepped in, and you have the repo rate, the reverse repo rate being slashed. Also, the CRR ratios have been reduced. Does that make liquidity more easily available to you? Should you be going to the banks for it?
Yeah, I think the banks are flush with funds, but they're still not. We have not approached the banks, but the people who are approaching, they haven't heard that the banks have really become large-hearted and started giving money. They are being very cautious and overall, unlike in the US or the UK, where the government said we will pay all the salaries, all the fixed expenses for the next almost 3 months without any, it's as a grant in aid. It was not a loan. They said as a grant in aid and they need not be repaid. Indian government has not then, due to various reasons. In fact, I understand that, when US government prints US dollars, the whole world has to work for it. But when India prints money, Indians have to work for it, and there may be a flight of capital, and dollar, which has already become so expensive, may become more expensive. So yes, I think the government is trying to do reduce interest and all that, but we think that the activity should pick up again, and there are ways government can do that can help the industry rather than just the financial help which they're trying to do, which I feel is not being that effective.
Okay, let's have your expectations of the MSMEs, let us say. What do you really expect from the government? What more can be done? How can you start going? You can get going once again, I would say.
One thing is, as far as the MSMEs is concerned, the whatever are stuck with the government, the GST, the money that is due to the MSMEs from the government. So, many times we pay GST in advance, and that credit is there with the government, especially the input credits are still with the government. So that is our money stuck with them. They can repay that to us, so that will help us getting the money in. Next, the payments that are due to the MSMEs, by the PSUs and the government supplies to the government. They should immediately release without any further delay. All the money should be released, and some of the money is stuck with the government for as much as 8 or 9 months, and that's a significant impact on our liquidity. And the third is there is one place where government can really kickstart the whole economy. That is the orders that are in the pipeline, that are being negotiated, and that are in the various stage of tender being floated, etc. They can really accelerate and push those orders, whereby what government needs, they can place the order for that. Not again, this is not a wrong or a fruitless expenditure where you're digging holes and filling up for the sake of employment. It's actually purposeful employment where government gets certain things done, and we'll get and the system coming into the money. That will really kickstart. So I think this GST and income tax refunds, and then any dues from the government to the MSMEs, and finally placing of the orders there in the pipeline in an aggressive manner would really kickstart the whole economy.
Well, you started by calling it the Chinese virus. Quite agree with you. I also call it the Chinese virus. I believe the Chinese are snapping up a lot of small companies. They're getting into bigger companies, very big companies also. How do we protect our interest? How do we safeguard our startups, our companies? What do you expect the government to do in that front?
So I completely think that this China is responsible for this virus in more than one way. It looks more diabolical than innocent, the spread of virus, because as there is much documented proof that as early as November the cases started coming in, and by December the cases had spread to Taiwan. And Taiwan in December sent warning to WHO saying, listen, this is a virus that has originated in Wuhan. Please take action. Please inform other countries. And WHO somehow on the signal of China said there is nothing to worry. There is no human-to-human transfer. And even as late as January and February, when countries were trying to banning flights from China into their countries, and both ways, China was very aggressive and was abusive to those countries. So how dare you do that? So they knew all this, and then the virus spread, and now it has come to a situation where all the countries have, almost on lockdown mode. So we think that this all could have been avoided had we acted early. We acted paranoid earlier, but the later you act, more is the lesser impact of our actions, and the graver are the consequences. So we are suffering now. This just because China and WHO did not play the game, did not play by moral rules. So yes, and now what are they doing? Now they are coming because they're flush with funds, almost trillions of dollars of reserves. They are using that money to buy the companies in Europe, even in India. We saw like HDFC they invested in. So this is absolutely. I mean, if I were to do that in business, that I create an artificial situation and I buy up the shares of the company, I would be put behind bars. I mean, there is no second thoughts about it. So why should we tolerate countries like China buying up family silver? We should object to that. And already the Western countries have taken the action because this was not at all acceptable to them. Again, China will play innocent and they'll say, how dare you? But we should ignore them and call them, we should call this the Chinese or the CCP virus, which created all this problem. So we should not allow Chinese investment in this country. Money has color. As we would not invest drug money or laundered money to come into the system, we should not allow with equal vehemence the Chinese money to get into the system, in India at least.
Well, I would say that in that case, this is a good opportunity for Make in India to really grow. We should be more dependent on our own, let's say, logistics kind of a pipeline. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely. I think this is, every crisis has opportunity hidden inside. And this opportunity is now start asking everything made in India. Don't go for anything made abroad. Just say we will buy only made in India for the next 2 to 3 years and delay the foreign purchases, kickstart the company. There is a lot of IP creation capability in the country. If you can really work around a little bit of, the bureaucratic nonsense about, 3 vendors, we want price discovery and all that, which the foreign countries do. A country like Israel, why is it number one in defense? because Benjamin Netanyahu has clearly said, if my country has a product with 60% capability, I would never go and buy a foreign company's product. So that is the stand that we should take. Let us buy it. And then, there's a question of price discovery. Price discovery is if you're cheaper than the global price, that is acceptable to us. Or if you are saving me more money than when I'm using your product, I'm okay with that. So, there is some kind of automatic resistance when Indian companies make money based on IP creation. So I think that is a very, very uh, mindset, a very, very, old mindset that we have. Yeah, really needs to be changed.
Okay, getting back to Zen again, rather than general issues, you must be having some export commitments, or you're possibly pursuing some export orders, etc. In fact, this total gamut of business development, whether be it exports or here in India, how has it affected? How has it been affected by coronavirus?
So, yeah, coronavirus, the exports have become slow. We were expecting some orders. The orders have been put on hold. We are in touch with the governments, and they have said, let us get on with the lockdown. At this point, most of the countries that we are talking to, they're fully occupied with this fighting the Chinese virus. So they are very keen. They have never said that they're backing out of the deal. They continue to be keen on this technology, because this is absolutely, one thing good about simulators is this is more needed when government doesn't have money, because it saves on the training ammunition, it saves on the logistics, it saves in many ways. So we think that the government will aggressively buy the simulators for the simple reason that defense has less money. So because it will save defense a lot of money in terms of training, ammunition, logistics, etc. So I think this is a great opportunity for Zen, in the sense that government will become alive to the opportunities to save money.
Well, since you're talking about more Indian products into it, what becomes extremely important is the way the new DPP 2020, is actually going to be drafted. In fact, the draft is already out, and they've asked for comments. What are your comments on it?
So, we felt that while draft is helpful and trying to, iron out some wrinkles in the DPP, but internal discussions within our company, we felt that actually the process is becoming more complex. They haven't technically, they have not increased the duration of the DP, the procurement. They have still kept it there, but that is still around 3 years. And a lot of activities are not included in that. But our whole idea is, from the beginning, from the RFI till the order placement stage, it should not exceed 1.5 to 2 years. From the moment the end user perceive that we need this, we need this for our forces, from the time of procurement, it should be 1.5 to 2 years. The whole exercise of DPP should be to crush the gap between the user wanting it and finally placing the order. We don't see that emphasis at all, because there are many, at each places where decision could be made by one person. It has been increased to 3 or 4 in 2016. Now it's become almost 20 people who are sitting on one thing. And the file comes, and the same authority is being approached twice, thrice in some cases for the same RFP. So we think that the emphasis has not been on procuring faster. It's more on we are covering all ground, that there is no chance of corruption. Let us get involved as many as people, so that we can distribute the buck, rather than somebody saying the buck stops. And the main purpose is faster procurement in a faster way. So that needs to be really worked, where the government says, listen, I don't, and even the incentives are not aligned. If as an officer, as a organization, I don't procure something, I delay the procurement. Is there any penalty for me? Zero. If I cancel the tender after 3 years of thing, where MSMEs and whole gamut of work has been done, huge amount of expenditure has been, I cancel the tender. What is the punishment to the guys who have canceled the tender? Zero. So when these are the incentives, and for all this person will be promoted tomorrow because he has not done anything corrupt. So if all the incentives are aligned towards not taking a decision, not placing the order, because if I place an order, and if I any smart within courts, officer looks at any file, he can get a CVC angle, he can get a corruption angle. So all the incentives for the officers are aligned towards, please don't place order, don't take action, because it has had no positive impact on your thing. So if they start actually considering how many procurements have you done safely, and how many what was the duration taken to do a procurement, and how many did you cancel? If these are the parameters against which officers are judged, I think it will become much easier for the procurements to finish. But because with no incentive attached and no punishment attached, we think this DPP 2020 that way has not is not very impactful.
I thought the previous DPP 2016, which Mr. Manohar Parrikar, when he was the defense minister, which he released that DPP, I thought that was a huge, big leap. So you say it's not really the same line.
I'll tell you something. 2016 till 2013, when 2016 was being released, one of the things the MSMEs wanted was, listen, we are the IP creators, and we don't want three tender situation. And there is nothing in the country which encourages IP development. There was nothing. So Parrikar immediately caught on to that. Manohar Parrikar, may he rest in peace. He was one of the smartest persons, and he interacted with the MSME like no other minister ever did. And his question always was that, what can I do to get self-sufficiency? And when we went with this proposal that, IDDM, the indigenously designed, developed and manufactured category, he just caught on to like this. Before that, for many years, it has been spoken. No minister said, listen, the attitude within the industry, because most of the industry just tries to collaborate with something and manufacture. They don't have the ability to innovate. Within the industry, think, "Pehla chalna sikho yaar, baad mein udenge hum. Let's first walk and then we'll think about disturbing IP. Who makes IP here? We are all, we are all resellers." That was the attitude. But he said, listen, that may be the reality, but I don't want that reality to be there forever. And Mr. Manohar Parrikar said, this is a good policy to introduce so that people start doing R&D work here. So, again, this example that I give is in a iPhone that costs $1,000, $245 is the bill of material. The Make in India component is $5 for which Foxconn gets. $250. Where is the $750? Who gets the $750? The major chunk goes to the IP designer, IP sitting in Cupertino. So the focus on Make in India is very, very minimal. So most of the companies that I work here, I know a couple of companies in Hyderabad, and their feeling is the worst thing we can do is manufacture, because we don't make any money and we are dying. The outsourced manufacturing from Israel, etc., is, it's killing them. They're not able to make any money. So the Make in India focus on that is a little bad, I feel. Yeah.
Well, thank you, Mr. Atluri. Thank you so much for having given us your time. I think we have had a wonderful discussion. I'm sure our viewers will enjoy it. And viewers, please do log in now and then and come to bharatshakti.in. We'll have such interviews going for you for another month or so at least. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Bharatshakti.in is my go-to site for all defense news. And I look forward to this interview and other interviews also. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I must thank you, in fact, for depending on us so much. Thank you.